I have killed more lavender plants than I care to admit. For the better part of 10 years, I would buy one every spring, bring it home full of hope, and watch it turn gray and brittle and dead before summer was even over. I tried different spots. I tried different watering schedules. I read everything I could find, and every single time the same result. One afternoon, I was at a Garden Society meeting and I mentioned it the way you mention something you have simply accepted as your personal gardening curse. The woman sitting next to me laughed and said, "Oh, you are watering it, aren't you?" I said, "Of course I was watering it. It was a living plant." And she just shook her head slowly and said, "That is exactly the problem." That was the conversation that changed everything. Because here is the truth nobody puts on the label at the garden center. Almost everything most of us do for lavender is the opposite of what the plant actually needs. The watering advice is wrong, the soil advice is wrong, and the pruning advice, if you have been following what most garden books say, is quietly destroying plants that could have lasted for decades. Today I have 5 secrets that turn all of that around. Secret number 3 especially, I am going to ask you to wait for that one. It is the single thing that would have saved me years of frustration and more money than I like to think about, if only someone had told me in that very first year. If you are new here, welcome to The Gardening Grandma. I share what a lifetime in the garden actually teaches you, the real lessons, not the ones on the back of the tag. Hit that subscribe button right now so you do not miss a single video. We put a new one out every week, and I am so glad you are here. Now, let us talk about lavender. Secret 1, treat it like a weed, not a flower. The very first thing you need to do is change the way you think about this plant entirely. And I mean entirely. Lavender is not a delicate ornamental that needs looking after. It is, at its heart, a tough Mediterranean weed wearing beautiful clothes. In the wild, it grows out of cracks in limestone, baked by relentless sun for months at a time, battered by wind, ignored by rain. Nobody waters those plants. Nobody feeds them. Nobody worries over them. And they bloom magnificently year after year without a single act of kindness from anyone. Here is what most gardeners never discover until the damage is already done. When you bring lavender home and begin treating it the way you would treat a rose or a dahlia, watering it on a schedule, feeding it rich compost, tucking it into a carefully prepared garden bed, you are smothering a survivor in luxury. And luxury kills lavender far faster than any drought ever could. My rule now is simple. When I plant lavender, I look for the worst spot in my garden. The driest, sunniest corner. The slope where the soil is thin and rocky and nothing else will settle. The place I had written off as too difficult for anything useful. That is exactly where lavender wants to be. Stop giving it your best soil. Save your best soil for your tomatoes. Lavender wants the leftovers, the hot, neglected, forgotten places that every other plant refuses. Secret 2, build it a hillside, not a garden bed. Now let us talk about soil, because this is where most people make their costliest mistake, and they make it before the plant has even gone in the ground. You have probably heard well-drained soil 1,000 times. You have nodded along and assumed your garden bed qualifies. For lavender, it almost certainly does not. Well-drained for lavender means something far more extreme than those 2 words suggest. Here is what most gardeners never discover until the damage is already done. When you dig a planting hole for lavender, take the soil you remove and throw at least half of it away. Replace that half with coarse builder's sand or horticultural grit, the chunky, gritty kind that water flies straight through. Not fine play sand from the hardware store, the real coarse stuff. Mix it thoroughly with whatever native soil remains and you have just recreated the rocky hillside this plant comes from. Then, and this is the step most people skip entirely, build a small mound. Plant your lavender on top of a gentle raised hump, 2 or 3 inches above the surrounding ground. Water will run away from the crown instead of sitting around it, because here is the brutal truth. Lavender does not die of thirst. It drowns, even in summer, even in what feels like dry conditions to you. A wet crown sitting in heavy soil is a death sentence, and that small mound is the difference between a plant that thrives for 15 years and one that rots quietly in its first winter. And one more thing on soil. If anyone has ever told you to add compost or manure to your lavender bed, please stop. Rich soil makes lavender grow soft, floppy, and disease-prone. It flowers less and smells less because the essential oils that give lavender its fragrance are actually produced in greater concentration when the plant is lean and slightly stressed. A pampered lavender is a boring lavender. My rule now is simple. Keep the soil poor, keep it gritty, and build that mound. Before I give you secret 3, I have to ask, have you killed lavender before? Did you ever figure out why, or did it just quietly disappear on you one winter without explanation? Drop a comment below and tell me your story. I read every single one, and I genuinely love hearing from you. And if you have not hit that subscribe button yet, please do it right now. What I have planned for this channel in the coming weeks is some of the best content I have ever put together, and I do not want you to miss it. Secret 3, almost stop watering it. This is the one I told you to wait for. The single secret that, if you take nothing else from this video, will change your success rate with lavender completely. Here it is. Stop watering your lavender almost entirely. I know exactly how that sounds. Every instinct you have as a gardener says a plant needs water, especially in summer, especially when it looks a little tired and gray. But that tired, slightly wilted look is not thirst. 9 times out of 10, it is the precise opposite. Here is what most gardeners never discover until the damage is already done. The yellowing lower leaves, the gray cast, the sad, drooping appearance that makes you reach for the hose, those are almost always the signs of too much water, not too little. Lavender tells you it is overwatered in exactly the same way it tells you it is thirsty. So every time a well-meaning gardener tries to help with a good watering, they are making the problem worse. Here is the rule that actually works. For the first 2 or 3 weeks after planting, water deeply once a week to help the roots settle in. After that, water only when there has been no rain for 2 to 3 weeks and the soil 2 inches down is completely bone dry. Stick your finger in if you feel any moisture at all, walk away and come back another day. In winter, you do not water at all, not once. Wet roots combined with cold soil is the #1 killer of established lavender, and more plants are lost to a kind, well-intentioned winter watering than to any pest or disease I have ever seen. Your lavender is sleeping. Let it sleep dry. If you are growing in a pot, use terracotta, never plastic, never glazed ceramic. Terracotta breathes and pulls excess moisture out of the soil. Drill extra drainage holes if you only have one, and throw the saucer away entirely. My rule now is simple. When in doubt, do not water. Your lavender will thank you for the neglect. Secret 4. Prune it twice a year, but never into the wood. If you have ever pruned a lavender plant and watched it slowly turn into a hollow, woody donut, green, only at the very tips, bare and dead in the center, I want you to know that is not your fault. It is the fault of pruning advice that always leaves out the one piece of information you actually need. Lavender must be pruned twice a year, and the timing matters enormously. Done correctly and consistently from year one, it will stay compact, bushy, and productive for a decade or more. Skipped for even one season, it begins to open up, split apart, and go unsalvageably woody within 2 or 3 years. Here is what most gardeners never discover until the damage is already done. There is a line on every lavender plant that you must never cross with your pruners. The soft, green, leafy growth above that line you can cut freely. The hard, woody, brown stems below it, you never touch those. Lavender wood does not regenerate. Unlike roses and many other shrubs, if you cut into bare wood, that stem will never come back. The plant cannot recover from it. Full stop. The first pruning comes in early spring as you see new green pushing out of the gray stems. Shape the whole plant into a firm dome, removing about a third of the green growth. Not a polite little trim, a real cut. You are sculpting a tidy mound. The second pruning comes right after flowering finishes in late summer. Cut back the spent flower stems and another inch or two of green growth below them, shaping the dome again. And both times you stop at the wood. Always leave green. Never let the blade touch brown. My rule now is simple. 2 prunings a year. Always a dome. Never into the wood. That is the whole thing. Secret 5. Match the variety to where you actually live. The last secret is the one that determines whether any of the previous 4 even matter. Because most lavender that dies in home gardens dies before it ever had a fair chance, planted in a climate it simply was not suited for. Most garden centers sell lavender without telling you that there are 3 very different groups, each suited to completely different conditions. Plant the wrong one for where you live, and no amount of good soil or careful pruning will save it. Here is what most gardeners never discover until the damage is already done. The beautiful, dramatic plants with the unusual ruffled flowers you often see at nurseries, the ones that catch your eye first, are frequently French or Spanish varieties. Gorgeous, yes, but tender. If you live somewhere with real winters, frost, snow, freezing nights, that plant will not survive outdoors. It is an annual whether the label says so or not. English lavender, varieties like Munstead and Hidcote, is the most cold-hardy of the group and the most fragrant for culinary use. This is the plant for cold climates and genuine winters. It handles frost beautifully, though it struggles in heavy summer humidity. And then there are the LAVENDER hybrids, varieties like Grosso and Provence, the big, robust ones you see covering commercial fields. These handle heat, they handle some humidity, they bloom abundantly, and they forgive more beginner mistakes than any other type. For most home gardeners who simply want lavender that performs reliably and does not die, lavender is almost always the smartest choice. My rule now is simple. I walk into the nursery knowing exactly which group works for my climate. I do not let a pretty plant talk me into something that cannot survive where I actually live. So let us bring it all together, my dear. Treat your lavender like the tough, sun-loving weed it truly is, and give it the worst, driest spot in your garden. Build it a gritty, fast-draining mound instead of a cozy garden bed. Stop watering it and let it sleep bone dry all winter long. Prune it twice a year into a firm dome, but never let the blade touch wood. And choose a variety that honestly matches the climate you live in, not the garden you dream about. Do those 5 things, and lavender stops being the plant you keep losing. It becomes the one that blooms harder every year, smells more beautiful every summer, and barely needs you at all. I would love to hear from you in the comments. Which of these 5 secrets surprised you most? Or are you someone who has finally cracked lavender and figured it out on your own, tell me what made the difference. I love those stories, most of all. If this video helped you, please share it with a fellow gardener. That is how this little channel grows, and I am so grateful for every one of you who does. Until next time, happy gardening. Take care of yourselves and take care of those beautiful gardens of yours.